I'm doing okay.
Are you?
Like I said, it doesn't affect me a whole lot.
What? Hi, baby.
Hi.
There is love all around, always love. There is love all around, always love. There is love all around, everywhere to be found. There is love all around, always love. There is peace all around, always peace. There is peace all around, always peace. There is peace all around, everywhere to be found. There is peace all around, always peace. There is love all around, always love. There is love all around, always love. There is love all around, everywhere to be found. There is love all around, always love.
Good morning. And welcome to Unity of Louisville, where it is our mission to transform ourselves and the world through love. I'm Reverend Valerie Mansfield, one of the ministers here, and I just want to say thank you for coming in today. So let's give ourselves a big round. And let us open in prayer. We say thank you, living, loving Spirit, for this opportunity to come and rest, renew, and be on this beautiful day, the sun shining and the leaves changing colors. We inside change and grow, just as the seasons change and grow. And we live in gratitude for all that is and all that is coming in and through us with unlimited possibilities. And so it is. Amen. This morning, we have a very special guest, one of our board alternates. Leah Zellers will be doing the talk, and we are still continuing with our theme of core values, and today is inclusion. There are no others is the name of the talk. Driscoll will be reading the daily word. Dave Fralix leading the meditation. John Spencer's on the piano. Gloria Berry's our song leader, along with Phil. Thank you very much for being here. And our special guest musician today is Colette Delaney Mattingly, who we love dearly. And so now, please stand for our opening song, I Am Free, I Am Unlimited.
I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. You are free, you are unlimited. There are no chains that bind you. You are free, you are unlimited. Right now, right now. You are free, you are unlimited. There are no chains that bind you. You are free, you are unlimited. Right now, right now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited. Right now, right now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited. Right now, right now.
Thank you. Please be seated. We'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our first-time guests. So if you're with us for the first time, I'm going to invite you to raise your hand, and to raise it high so one of our ushers can bring you a welcome pack and a candle. The welcome packet has information about Unity of Louisville, the Unity Movement, and there's a welcome card on the front. If you fill it out and take it down to the welcome desk in our social room downstairs, they will give you a gift. And then the candle is a gift from the congregation to remind you that as you light it, of your time here with us, but more importantly, to remember that you are a light in the world. And so let's welcome our first-time guests, please. And we are honored that you're here with us today. So, as to greet we greet their hand with love and a firm handshake. So if you don't like to be wrapped, right? Our neighbors.
I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. You are free, you are unlimited. There are no chains that bind you. You are free, you are unlimited. Right now, right now. You are free, you are unlimited. There are no chains that bind you. You are free, you are unlimited. Right now, right now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited. Right now, right now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited. Right now, right now.
Thank you. Please be seated. Yeah, now we're doing our affirmation for our core value of inclusion. And this month, we are looking at our mental health. So let's say this together. We are whole and well and getting better all the time. And so it is. It is like a Beatles song. You're right, James. And so now We're going to do our Lord's Prayer, and after the Lord's... Oh, we got another one? It's not on my paper. All right. So we're going to do our generosity affirmation. Together. I am an exuberant, joyful expression of spirit, participating fully in the principle of generosity. And so it is. And now we're going to do the Lord's Prayer. And after the Lord's Prayer, we'll have a moment of silence while our energy workers, oneness blessers, and chaplains surround this beautiful space and send love and light into the world.
Our Creator, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever.
And so it is. The daily word for Sunday, October 20th, 2019 is generosity. Divine love through me multiplies all that I receive. A classic unity hymn declares, "Love is something, if you give it away, you end up having more." That freely sharing my time, talent, and treasure attracts good into my life, I am inspired to give for the sheer joy of giving. Recognizing my oneness with all people in God, I know every thought, word, helping hand, or financial gift I offer blesses as much as it blesses the one who receives it. Because I know that both giving and receiving are essential to the flow of abundance, I accept with gratitude and love the gifts and blessings that come to me through the loving generosity of others. I count each day as another opportunity for me to give in return. And from Timothy 1:6-18, they are to do good, to be rich in good works, generous, and ready to share. The daily word, generosity.
In this very room, there's quite enough love for one like me, there's quite enough joy for one like me, and there's quite enough hope and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For Spirit is in this very room. And in this very room, there's quite enough love for all of us. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all of us. And there's quite enough hope and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For Spirit is in this very room.
As we continue this time of meditation, start to notice your breath. Are you breathing shallow, or are you breathing deeply? Just become aware of your breath. Begin to take deep breaths all the way down into your belly, and exhale slowly as you begin to bring your awareness to your breath. Continue to breathe deeply and notice how your body is relaxing into your seat. Feel your body being supported. Feel your feet on the floor. Take one more deep breath and begin to shift your awareness to your heart space. Breathe in the love in your heart. As you continue to breathe deeply, remember a time where you felt excluded. How did that feel? Remember a time when you felt included, and how did that feel? Are there times when you have excluded others, and how did that feel? Are there times when you others, and how did that feel too? How can you be more inclusive? How can you feel more included? Know that you are a child of God and that you are always included. Spend some time in the silence with those questions. So as you come back to this space and time, start to move around in your seat, start to feel your body sitting in your seat. And what's one thing you can do today to be more inclusive in your life, or to feel more included in your life? So it is.
We are many parts. We are all one body, and the gifts we have, we are given to share. May the spirit of love make us one indeed. One, the love that we share. One, our hope in despair. One, the joy we declare. Working here with everyone, working that God's will is done. Let us lay our gifts before our God. We are many parts. We are all one body, and the gifts we have, we are given to share. May the spirit of love make us one indeed. One, the love that we share. One, our hope in despair. One, the joy we declare. Now my pain is pain for you. In your joy is my joy too. All is brought together in one love. We are many parts. We are all one body, and the gifts we have, we are given to share. May the spirit of love make us one indeed. One, the love that we share. One, our hope in despair. One, the joy we declare. All you seekers, great and small, seek the greatest gift of all. If you love, then you will know such joy. We are many parts. We are all one body, and the gifts we have, we are given to share. May the spirit of love make us one indeed. One, the love that we share. One, our hope in despair. And one, the joy we declare.
Thank you, Colette. That was beautiful. I love that. Your pain is my pain, and your joy is my joy. I think that's Very relevant to talking about inclusivity today. So, good morning. For those of you who don't know me or know me as Elle's mom, my name is Leah Zellers, and I serve as an alternate on the board here at Unity. In full disclosure, I was not really sure what I volunteered for today. Apparently, it was to do the talk. Ray, feel comfortable with giving the message on the 20th? And I looked at him like he had two heads. I thought I was making an announcement. So here we are. I've always maintained that it would not be in anyone's interest to give me a mic and a platform and an opportunity to speak freely, but fortunately for all of us, I am restrained to 17 to 20 minutes on the topic of inclusivity, so might be 22. So today we are talking about Unity's core value of inclusion or inclusivity, and I'll be honest in saying that I really struggled with preparing this message, not because I'm a procrastinator, although that didn't help, but what I felt that God was putting on my heart to say to our community, I resisted. It was a challenge for me to step up and say some things that I believe need to be said for us to move forward and become a more diverse and inclusive community. All the ideas were up here in my head, and they made sense up there, but then when I would sit down to put them in a manner that made sense to you, or really even to me, that was a whole other challenge. So I wanted people to leave here today feeling a little bit uncomfortable, or uncomfortable enough to grow. I wanted people to leave here today questioning to what extent they are inclusive in their own lives, in their own places of employment, and here in our spiritual community. I want people to leave here today with the kind of radical love and inclusivity that does not bypass anger towards social injustice. I want people to leave here today knowing that healing the injustices in our world does not require us to be whole or completely healed ourselves. We are all fumbling through this human experience together, and if we wait until we are completely healed or we feel completely whole before we make a stand for others to be whole and healed, we have failed ourselves, and we have missed the point of a mindful spiritual practice. The world does not need perfection and completeness. The world needs us to show up. Inclusivity sometimes feels a little bit exhausting because there's always more work to be done. The mere idea that we have to work to be inclusive suggests that the human tendency, is toward exclusion. It's much easier to flow with the norms of exclusion and division than to stand grounded in the ever-shifting waters of societal transformation. Richmond, Kentucky, a college town of Lexington, and not unlike any other mid-size southern town or anywhere in the Bible Belt, Richmond was home to a lot of the good old boys. Largely white community, blue collar, the kind of folks who proudly displayed their Confederate flags on their pickup trucks as they blasted the latest rap album through their speakers. Even as a child, that irony was not lost on me. When I was in 7th grade, a popular girl from my school befriended me. I think I was her project. I didn't really need a friend. We'll call this girl Jane. I didn't really need Jane to be my friend. I had friends. I was the kind of kid that got along with everybody, the people pleaser, didn't ruffle any feathers, just tried to be kind. But I was enamored with Jane, her popularity, her family's wealth, the opulent house she lived in, the beautiful cars they drove, and everybody liked Jane. I wonder why everybody liked Jane. Everybody wanted to go to Jane's house. Everybody wanted to be in Jane's social circle. So you can imagine how nervous I was and intimidated I was when Jane wanted to come to my house It would just be the two of us for the first time. I was a little bit embarrassed that I didn't live in the kind of home that she came from, but I invited her nonetheless. At some point in the evening, Jane told me a joke. It wasn't a funny joke, in fact. It was quite the opposite, highlighting stereotypes of minority communities and using more than a few derogatory terms. It wasn't the first time I'd jokes, nor was it uncommon. I felt compelled to speak up and say, "That's not funny." So you know what I did right then and there? I laughed. I laughed like it was the funniest joke I'd ever heard. I even participated in something that I had heard from a kid charge. I laughed because 13-year-old me flowed with the norms of societal exclusion. I laughed because I didn't want to feel that exclusion. I've forgiven my 13-year-old self for that shortcoming, but that experience triggered something inside of me. After that incident, I began finding excuses not to hang out with Jane. Although we had a number of mutual friends, I avoided her in social circles. I distanced myself from her at school. And in 5 more years of going to school with the same girl, I never found the courage to speak up and tell her how much that bothered me. I simply continued to be nice and polite. That was the first of a number of circumstances in my adolescence and young adult life that began to cultivate a sense of understanding of oppressive systems, systematic injustice, the haves and the have-nots, who ultimately has a seat at the table, controls the decision-making process, enacts the laws, and reinforces the institutions that systematically and undeniably keep a hierarchy of power. Now, I don't want to veer too far off into the politics and the political aspect of inclusivity, but the reality is that one cannot talk about inclusivity and spirituality without those concepts being inextricably linked to social justice issues, inextricably linked to the political system which we are all a part of. This is important, and I want to refer back to something that I said earlier. Radical love and inclusivity does not allow us to spiritually bypass our anger at an unfair system. If we are operating from our shared spiritual perspective that there is no other, then we can't turn a blind eye to the injustices that befall humanity. We can't come here on Sunday and affirm that everything is in divine order. Leave here not willing to face head on the challenges that exclusion and division and social injustice have presented us with. Sharon Dutch Kidder, in summarizing her findings in her scholarly work, Social Change and Intersectional Activism, states, "This book argues that an understanding of spirit is critical to explaining the power that social movements have to change hearts, minds, and social structure." If her statement is accurate, then to those of us who say that we believe love and inclusivity are the only ones to reverse and heal the damage that centuries of oppressive systems have had on racial minorities, LGBT community, immigrants, homeless, poverty-stricken, mental, and on and on and on of the people who haven't had a seat at the table. Much of my preparation for today was simply reflection on some of my conversations with Jackie Saltzman and Urith Smith. They are two dear friends of mine with whom honesty and vulnerability that we're experiencing with the state of affairs in the world, we see the suffering of our fellow humans, and there is a disconnect between what we believe to be true in our spiritual lives, everything is, in fact, in divine order, and what we see taking place in society around us, growing tensions, political divide, hate, injustice. Jackie's headed up the diversity and inclusion campaign here at Unity, and if you aren't familiar with this work, there's a shameless plug here, sister, this afternoon to explore the concept of intersectionality, the interconnected nature. Community we are. Everyone who comes here for the first time feels welcome, and that is wonderful. I do not want to detract from that aspect of our community. Welcoming is without a doubt important, but welcoming is not the same as being inclusive. Welcoming is nice. Author Austin Channing Brown, in his book, I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness, says, when you believe niceness disproves the presence of racism, it's easy to start believing that bigotry is rare and that the label racist should be applied only to mean-spirited, intentional acts of discrimination. The problem with this framework, besides being a gross misunderstanding of how racism operates in systems and structures enabled by nice people, is that it obligates me, he's referring to himself, to be nice in return rather than truthful. Aren't we truth seekers? Do we want to seek the truth when the truth is ugly, when the truth is oppressive? When it forces us to dig in and search for ways we have been complicit? To recall times that we could have been radically inclusive but chose to be comfortable instead? And today is not the day to say not me, because we are all a part of this system, whether we want to be or not, whether rallies or at home on election day, or we watch the news, or we don't have a television, or we have a friend or a spouse or a mother or a sister of excluded people. We are all part of that system. It is part of our human experience. Your reality is right now, we are here, we are on planet Earth. It is the year 2019. Specifically, we are in the United States, and that is a place that doesn't always these days feel so united. Urith asked me the other day, why don't we look homeless people in the eyes? A simple question. I make eye contact with strangers regularly and am usually inclined to smile. I have a fairly happy disposition. But when I pull up to a stoplight and there is a dirty homeless man with a sign asking for money and blessing me by God, more often than not, I shuffle around like I'm looking for something, or I check my mirrors, or I make conversation with the passenger, anything to distract from the need that is right there in front of me. If I have nothing to physically give, what is it that causes me to divert my eyes, to look the other way? Why is it so difficult to look that man in the eye and smile? I thought about this for some time and decided that even when I can't give of my treasures, I can give my kindness, But that didn't answer the question of why. Why do we do that? The thought that I kept returning to and the answer that my fear was trying to avoid is that looking that man in the eyes would provoke feelings in me that I wanted to avoid. Feelings of guilt, feelings of privilege, feelings of pity. It's easier to pretend I don't see him or his struggle than to feel the sting of my own perceived helplessness, my own privilege, or the guilt of my own luxuries. In that moment, I lose my grounding. I lose my vision for humanity, and that man becomes the other. One common mistake we all tend to make in our positions of privilege is to try and convince ourselves that we aren't what needs to be changed. I mean, we're a loving community. We say that every week. We're kind to people. We're compassionate. We try to operate from a perspective of compassion and empathy. We aren't racist or misogynist or oppressive. However, this defensiveness, this not me, this is a huge barrier into making real change because it allows us to excuse ourselves from the dirty work. It's not enough to be not racist. Radical inclusivity and compassion ask us to fight against racism, starting with our own internal biases and prejudice. And don't tell me you don't have any, because we all carry them. Part of our human experience. Those are part of our human experience. When the Me Too movement showed the world the dark underbelly of the truth about sexual assault, some well-intentioned, albeit ignorant man decided to start his own Not All Men campaign. Well, we know that not all men are rapists, not all men are sexual assaulters, but that's not the point. Who stood up? I'm supposed to grab one of these if this one fails. Although I was told it might catch on fire. Hello? Who stood up when his coworker made demeaning comments about women, and who stood by? Who turns a blind eye to a criminal justice system that has blatant disregard for black and brown lives, and who showed up? Who smiled at the homeless man, and who looked away? Who laughed at the joke? I laughed at the joke once. And since that moment 23 years ago, I've tried to make up for that not so innocent laugh by learning and by growing and by listening and by looking at myself as both part of the problem and part of the solution. I'll never be able to make up for that, but I can recognize that the problem exists, and I can actively fight it by being radically inclusive. If any of this has come out sounding a little angry, I will make no apologies for that. I am angry sometimes. I'm angry at a world where so many injustices prevail, a world where some of my brothers and sisters have to fight 10 times harder for equal opportunities, a world where suicide is the leading cause of death amongst LGBT youth because somehow our society has sent them the message that it's better to be dead than gay. I'm angry at a world that separates children from their families. I'm angry at a country that only has 5% of the world's population and 21% of its prisoners. That is not freedom, and that is not radical inclusivity. I'm angry at a world where cyclical and generational poverty are blamed on individuals facing those challenges instead of a system that fails to meet them with inclusivity. And it is frustrating to be angry, but there's good news. I don't live in that anger. The Buddha taught us that anger, in combination with a mindful spiritual practice, can serve as an energy that can awaken us to injustice, and that we can channel and direct that energy toward love, and toward change, toward inclusivity. I dream of a world where demographics such as race, sexuality, and religion have no bearing on one another's perception of each other. In order to realize that dream, I know that my own work is never done. According to the Bible, Jesus said, "Whatever you have done to the least of these, you have done to me." And if we are living in inclusivity and are true to the belief in our interconnectedness, then what you have done or failed to do for the least of these, you're doing to yourself. I want to leave you guys with one of my favorite verses. It comes from the Jewish Talmud. I love it because it both simultaneously holds me accountable while ever so slightly letting me off the hook. It says this: "Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. The work is not yours to complete, but neither are you free to abandon it." I hope we all can practice ways of becoming more inclusive in our own lives, and I thank you all for taking the time to listen to me today. I love you, I honor you, and I acknowledge the living presence of God in each of you. Namaste.
When I picked this song, it was one that I sang it at a concert a few weeks ago, and I loved it so much that I thought, oh, I want to sing that at Unity. And then I thought, it's not really going to go with the talk. Should I do it? And then I thought, well, I'll do the first song. It'll go with the talk. This one, I'll just do it because I love it, and it's a beautiful song. But then as I listened to that amazing talk, it was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. I thought, okay, this really goes with the talk. Spirit does that to me all the time. I pick a song and I'm like, I don't know if this is the right song, and then it ends up being the perfect song. It's called The Voice, and it is basically about that voice that is calling us to something bigger and higher and greater. The voice inside of each of us, the voice of the universe, the voice of God, the voice of love, whatever that voice is that has no exclusion, the voice that is all of us. And this song is just one of the most beautiful ethereal songs I've ever gotten to sing, and and John plays it so beautifully for me. Thank you. Hear your voice on the wind, and I hear you call out my name. Listen, my child, you say to me, I am the voice of your history. Be not afraid, come follow me. Answer my call and I'll set you